It's a historic first this week on Under the Bridge. But I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. You're going to have to wait and see.
But it is worth it. It is worth it, because it's also pretty hilarious.
Yeah. See, what I'm doing here is I'm trying a new strategy. It's called planting a plug, a hook, some bait. So people are encouraged to stick around and encourage viewer retention. But they're probably clicking away in droves now that I've explained that.
There's a joke that I did pop up in my head, but I don't want to make it since we're only 45 seconds into this.
Probably for the best. Welcome to Under the Bridge, everybody!
Welcome to Under the Bridge.
I'm Cody, aka the Scarlet Troll.
And I am Greg, aka Greg.
And this is our podcast where we talk news of the pop culture variety. Sometimes comic news, sometimes gaming news, pretty much always movie news, and also pretty much always a movie review.
Hey there.
So...
no, just moving on right after
that. Yeah, I'm ignoring that. If you're trying to do a Chowder reference, it's supposed to be, hey there!
Oh, fair.
Hey there,
fair.
you hey there! I missed that show, but I'm glad it ended when it did.
Yeah.
Honestly, it still went on a little too long.
I
almost went on an extended bit about one of my favorite jokes, and I remembered this is not really the forum for that.
It's like, this is the place, it's just not the time.
I mean, it kind of is, you know? It's our podcast, and if I want to talk about my favorite jokes in Chowder, I dang well will, but...
Right.
Maybe at some other time. Now, this first thing is unusual, in that it's not necessarily news, in that it hasn't been substantiated fully.
Yeah, but it is a discussion point. So... on not May, it's not even May yet. What?
It's gonna be May!
We're already off to a great start. Good job, me. So, over the last, few weeks or so, especially if you're within gaming circles, you may have heard of a little racing game called The Crew. And it's already people are probably clicking away. It's oh god, Greg's gonna talk about racing games.
You're not wrong, but you're also not right.
So, for the uninitiated, The Crew is was a massively multiplayer online racing game bankrolled by Ubisoft as the publisher and developed by Ivory Tower, who were, amongst other things, a bunch of former developers for, I think it was Eden Games, the development team who'd made Test Drive Unlimited, which is considered one of the best free roam racing games ever. It was also a online multiplayer racing game. The game was launched in 2014, and it was active for a little under 4 years, or not 4 years, 10 years, nearly 10 years, until the servers for the game were permanently shut down on the 31st of this year, Which
31st?
March 31st, sorry.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm off to a great start on this.
Oh no, it's fine. I keep forgetting. Every week I tell myself I'm gonna put like, comment, and subscribe right near the start, and I never do. So, if you like this so far, make sure to hit the like button, because it helps with engagement. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, it's gonna get better for later on in the show, too. So, the game was shut down on March 31st, which sucks, it's the whole thing of online games needing an offline patch and stuff like that, so people who paid money for these games can still play them. Regular discussions about longevity of games, yada yada, what have you. Well, a little bit after that, people were reporting, and reporting is the key part of this. Just to make it clear, just to kind of go ahead with what Cody said earlier, there's been a lot of people running the story, but not a lot of really official things. But users have reportedly had their licenses pulled for The Crew. We're not talking about no longer having access to this because the servers are shut down. No, more so along the lines of the actual access you had to this game, irregardless of if you can play it or not, because the servers are down, is gone. It's just gone from your library and all that. This started from a post done by... Hopefully this Reddit user has an appropriate name.
Just imagine you reading out
yeah, okay.
Something really bad is being no, wait, cut!
Yeah. Well, see, there's an caveat. There is a genuinely funny subreddit whose name I cannot mention but the whole thing about this subreddit is that it's a bunch of really wholesome and really well-made comments made by people whose user accounts have just the most horrifically inappropriate names you can think of.
Alright, I like this.
Yeah, I'll have to send you a link to the subreddit later. But a user on the Crew subreddit who goes by the handle of Danocturno, I probably got that very wrong, posted a picture showing that they no longer had access to the game whatsoever. Now, of course, this kind of spread like wildfire. Other websites have been reporting on this. Once again, the key part of this whole thing is the reportedly portion. There hasn't been anything officially said by Ubisoft on this, and as far as I can tell, there haven't been any more users substantiating this. If I had to guess, it might be more of a PC thing, because I actually still have the game on my Xbox at home. I was able to start it, can't play it because the servers are gone, but I still have, air quotes, access to it. That being said, the thing I want to kind of get into with this isn't necessarily about the crew itself, but more so, you know, the discussion of when it comes to game ownership, especially since this is an Ubisoft title, and Ubisoft has been quoted as saying within this last year things along the lines of, no one really owns their games. Now, from a practical, pragmatic standpoint, this is kind of true, because it's the whole thing of, like, having a license to the game. But from a consumer standpoint, it really sucks.
Now, is the crew, was it you buy it once, or is it you had to, like, pay for some kind of...
No, it was a you buy it once game.
Okay.
But it's still a game that you had to pay for. Like, you had
True.
to pay for it. It wasn't like a free-to-play game or anything like that. And they also made a bunch of DLC for it that you also had to pay for, too. So, that kind of goes into the whole thing as well, as far as people talking about, like, you know, game ownership and whatnot. Because of that, a lot more discussion has been sparked about game preservation, keeping old media alive. Apparently, there were talks about some users creating an unofficial server to keep the game running. How that would work, I have no fucking clue, so I'm not even really going to get deep into that.
Probably poorly once Ubisoft found out about it.
Yeah.
There's a reason Yves Guillemot is on my nemesis list.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I don't like him.
Oh, yeah.
But primarily because he says stupid nonsense.
Wait, you mean to tell me that in order for someone to be on a person's nemesis list, you have to dislike them? Wow, that's crazy.
I'm sure if I look deep enough on my nemesis list, there's somebody I don't actually hate on here.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so with this whole news and whatnot, you know, it's re-sparked, like, you know, what does it mean to own your games and stuff like that. There's been... God, I wish I could remember their name right now, but there have been a couple of people campaigning, using the crew as the main talking point of it, to get companies to, like, you know, make offline patches for games that are, like, always online, or just provide some means of people still having access to the titles, even if they're, like, games that, even though you have them physically, you can't play them anymore for etc. reasons.
Yeah, man, I'll level with you.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody got rid of... I know Pokemon's never going anywhere.
Oh, God, no.
But if it did, and then Pokemon Home shut down, and all the hours and money that I poured into everything that's in there...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, now I'm sad just thinking about it.
Yeah, and it's no secret that kind of the industry as a whole wants to move into more so the digital media scape. As far as having, like, games on demand, games on a service... digital-only purchases, not making physical media.
I mean, that's like nothing new, and it's certainly not game industry exclusive. The movie and TV industry's doing it, too.
No, of course not, but, you know, it's the thing of, like, okay, so what happens 10 years, 15 years down the line, etc.? You know, the fiscal side of it is no longer a thing, or at least a lot harder to get hands on.
Yeah, so, Ubisoft, if you are doing this, you're a bunch of cowards, alright?
Yeah. It's unfortunate because it's one of those things where it's like, realistically speaking, it'll never happen, because it's just like lawsuit city at that point. But it would be really cool if Ubisoft did actually come out and say, well, just something on either side of it, and explaining any kind of reasoning they have on either side of this.
Well, I know what the reason is. The reason is because it costs money to maintain servers, and if they determine the player base is no longer big enough to be financially worth it, and then they can take a hit on the backlash, they'll do it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to keep the backlash.
And vote with your wallets.
Yeah! I mean, kind of hard to do when a lot of them are doing this terrible shit, but...
Well, the thing that kills me about this the most is that all of this news is, like, breaking and whatnot, literally within the same week of Ubisoft showing more about Star Wars. I think it's Star Wars Outlaws is the name of this game.
Yeah.
And also showing that one of the packages you can get is a $130 pre-order.
No, see, that's what you do. You jingle the keys in front of their face so they don't see you reaching for their wallet.
Yeah. Reach for them. Oh, You gotta be quicker than that.
Star Wars Outlaws is the jingly dangly keys, and we're shutting down the crew, and you can't access it anymore. It's them taking your wallet. So yeah, takeaway from this: physical media is important.
Yeah.
If your media is online, you don't own it.
Yeah, pretty much. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's long and short of it.
This is what we have helped create.
Indeed.
I got some comics news.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's all more X-Men stuff.
Is that bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The main reason it sucks, I've been on the Krakoa rant. I've been on the why the current era of X-Men was cool and why taking it away, going back to a world that hates and fears them and they're powerless to do anything about it sucks.
I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
But we do have some new descriptions on some of the upcoming series.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the adjectiveless X-Men, which is being written by Jed McKay.
I'm sorry, what?
It's just called X-Men, but
okay.
I'm calling it adjectiveless.
I thought it was actually called the adjectiveless X-Men. It's like, that's a hell of a title.
No. You ever think about the fact that Captain America doesn't really have an adjective?
No, that's right. So he's not like the Captain America or anything like that.
He's not like I can't think of one. No wonder he doesn't have one. But, you know, you've got the Invisible Iron Man, you've got the Mighty Thor, the Incredible Hulk, Spider-Man's got like fucking 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And Captain America, I think he's only ever had all new, but...
No, that's just U.S. Agent, never mind.
Also, it just doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah, fair.
Commanding Captain America. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm slapping a trademark on that, Marvel, pay me money!
Get this man his royalties!
You can have it for money.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, X-Men, no title. No, it's just called X-Men. But it's written by Jed McKay, who's been writing a really good run on Moon Knight lately, the last couple of years. And also is writing Avengers currently, so that ought to be fun.
Okay.
The description reads, no longer living under the protection of Krakoa, it's a dangerous time for mutants everywhere. And dangerous times call for radical action. Cyclops... radical, not the skateboarding kind.
Yeah, no.
I just pictured Cyclops stranded on a half-pipe.
Yeah, it's like Wolverine featuring Tony Hawk.
No, Wolverine's not on this one.
Oh, then what's the point?
Hold on. Cyclops gathers a group of his most trusted and reliable mutant soldiers. Juggernaut's there! What are you talking about? Along with the brightest of the next generation, Juggernaut's there! To tackle the most prevalent threats to mutant kind, including an existential new enemy that rises out of the remains of Orcus. Prepare for a reckoning as this team handles explosive mutant-specific issues without restraint. Humanity can hate them all they want, as long as they fear them.
That's not... What?
So, Cyclops has a tendency to go a little maverick, shall we say.
That sounds a little authoritative there.
To be fair, mutants have been through a lot. There was a point where there was only like 198 of them. Thanks, Wanda.
Oh, really?
That's not fair. It's Bendis' fault.
Bendis?
Actually, it's more John Byrne's fault than anything.
Bendis sounds like the name of a 1980s operating software.
No, it's Brian Michael Bendis, the guy who wrote Ultimate Spider-Man. He was responsible for Avengers Disassembled, where Wanda went crazy and then did House of M.
Okay.
But the whole thing was set up by John Byrne, who hated the WandaVision relationship and took every step he could to destabilize it, which had a negative impact on Wanda's mental health that future writers have... It's a rabbit hole! It's a rabbit hole!
It sounds like a rabbit hole.
I'm getting off topic here. So we already knew the lineup for this team was Cyclops, Beast, Magneto, Psylocke, Magic, Kid Omega, Temper, and Juggernaut. And it's really funny to me how Juggernaut has kind of adapted into just being part of the X-Men now. Because not only is he historically one of their bad guys, but I mean, so is Magneto, so that doesn't mean shit.
Right.
He's also not a mutant. He's empowered by some kind of gem by some weird chaos god or something.
Okay.
But I guess to be fair, you need all the help you can get. I like this lineup. I'm just not sold on... Oh, good. What, are we operating out of a warehouse now?
Yes. I don't know.
Krakoa... Yeah, it was messed up because it was formed on the basis of Sinister's DNA and Apocalypse's cooperation, and there were some icky things that had to be done there, but it was doing some real good for the mutant cause, in the sense of... For once they had a place. They had an identity. It's not the first time. Genosha exists, and I think they also did it again with a place called Utopia, if I remember right. But...
Already.
Not a huge X-Men fan. So, historically. I like them as a concept. I've just never read a lot of it, you know?
That's fair.
But, no, I just... there was a lot of interesting things being done. Mutants combining their powers in exciting new ways to achieve things one of them couldn't do by themselves. This genuine sense of community. Admittedly, not all of them bought into it, because you still had rat bastards like Sinister and Selene running around, but... but it was something. It was new. It was cool. And yeah, there were some aspects of it that weren't great from an ethical perspective, but their whole point was they were trying to adapt around and work on that once they reconciled with it. And to just tear the whole thing down to go back to mutants are hated and feared and will never know acceptance, it's just exhausting.
That's a little grating, especially since it's like, no, you just had a thing where mutants were actually powerful within the universe that they take place in. And it's gone for, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's basically gone because of reasons.
Yeah. Anyways, we also have some new updates on the Phoenix series that was announced.
Okay.
Which apparently it's going to involve Jean taking on a new costume and going into space.
Does she have a Pontiac Fiero?
No, she does have the Phoenix Force though.
Okay.
Or something.
Oh, so she has a Pontiac Firebird.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting you to roll with that. I appreciate that.
I could probably make an anagram or an acronym out of Pontiac with Phoenix in there. Not right now. We don't have time for that.
Fair.
And apparently it's got Jean responding to an SOS from Nova, so she has to save a bunch of people from a black hole, I guess.
Oh, fun.
That'll be neat. I don't know if
Indeed.
this is supposed to be a limited series or not. I feel like probably.
Mm-hmm.
We got more details on NYX. NYX. The one that it was a 2000 series about mutants running around in New York, and also it was the first appearance of X-23, but she was a teenage prostitute. I discussed this a couple weeks ago.
I know you discussed it, but I think part of me just removed it from my memory banks.
No, that's fair. That's fair. We now know who the mutants that this is going to be about are.
Okay.
Miss Marvel, Anole, X-23 Wolverine, Prodigy, and Sophie Cuckoo.
Sophie Cuckoo.
She's a clone of Emma Frost. It's a whole thing.
Okay then.
I think she's a clone? Or maybe it's just her and her siblings are clones of each other, and they're related to Emma Frost somehow.
Okay.
And cloning was involved, I know that. So this is, the synopsis for this says, with Xavier's school long gone and Krakoa destroyed, the greatest city on Earth is about to get a huge influx of mutants, whether they're welcome there or not. Kamala lives in Jersey City!
Yeah.
At least she did. When did that change? See a group of former X-Men students. When was Kamala ever Navigate young adulthood discrimination and threats bent on shattering human-mutant relations for good in NYX, a new ongoing series from hotshot writing duo Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, and rising star artist Francesco Mortarino.
This stuff is torture for you, isn't
This is real torture for me! Like, okay, the Inhumans suck, I get it! You want to distance from as much as possible, but Miss Marvel had a good thing going completely independent of the Inhumans anyway, and now you're gonna throw all that aside just to make her an X-Man so she could get pulled into all this stupid bullshit? Is that what you want? It's not what I want! I like Miss Marvel!
Once again, what I'm hearing from this is reinforcing my correct decision to not get into comics or collecting comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead, just either reading random pages on the Marvel Wiki or getting proxy news from you.
And then we also got an update from X-Force. It's being brought together by Forge. It's described that he's accessing an Omega-level degree of his unique and complex mutant power to build anything, and he will bear witness to everything broken in the world. Luckily...
Is there an Alpha Omega level?
Well, okay, so Omega level's a term in Marvel that gets thrown around a lot. Usually it refers to a very powerful, if not one of the most powerful mutants. The Krakoa era gave it a more concrete definition. Essentially, an Omega-level mutant is a mutant who represents the highest potential cap for their power.
Okay.
Functionally, if they are the greatest example of their power, I think, is how you could look at it. So, Magneto, Omega-level mutant, because nobody's better at electromagnetic manipulation than him.
Right.
But it's interesting because when they broke out this definition, they specifically cited that Forge is not an Omega-level mutant because he's a technopath, but Tony Stark's better.
Okay.
Well,
sure.
okay, they didn't specifically cite Tony Stark, but I think Tony was mentioned as being a better example of a non-mutant technopath than him. And really, I guess it's not technically, he's not technically a technopath, he just builds stuff.
Okay.
He doesn't specifically control technology, he can just build whatever.
Maybe it's a thing of, like, because of how good he is at building things, people think he's a technopath?
Maybe, I don't really know. Anyways, we also know the rest of X-Force, the team, which will be Rachel Summers, Betsy Braddock, Sage, Surge, and Tank. And I don't know who half of them are, but I do know Rachel Summers, and I kinda know Betsy Braddock.
Okay.
Because Rachel Summers is another one of those alternate universe Cyclops Jean Grey kids.
Aight.
And Betsy Braddock is the former Captain Britain's sister, who is now Captain Britain, and also she used to be Psylocke.
I keep on forgetting that there's a Captain Britain, in all honesty.
Right?
Like an actual character, not just...
And he's like a multiversal protector. He's not... It's not just Captain America, but for the UK.
Yeah, like, he's actually a very significant character overall.
Weird shit.
Yes.
Anyways, this is... Until/unless I start reading these, this'll... No, once we get more details on some of these other stories, I'm probably going to chime in on them too, just because I'm not done mourning the loss of Krakoa and bitching about what an absolute regression this is.
Fair.
And, because I can't just keep complaining about Spider-Man.
But they keep on making things to complain about.
They make it so easy, they're turning him into the Spider-Goblin!
What's the Spider-Goblin?
They did a thing a few months ago. Was it a few months ago? Might have been a year at this point. God, where does the time go? They did a thing where, like, he had all of Norman Osborn's sins magically infused into him and became the Spider-Man who gobbles or some stupid shit. They didn't call him that. That's just what I saw it on the internet, and I was like, I'll roll with that.
I was to say, first off, that sounds like a monumental innuendo. The spider that gobbles.
You know what? You're right. Oh, God. I'm arachnophobic. I don't need that in my brain.
But that also does sound stupid. It's like, why did they give Spider-Man all of Goblin's sins?
It was something to do with Kraven. Kraven had some kind of magic spear or something that he got from Cindy. No, wait, that wasn't it.
Kraven's magical.
Sometimes. I'm experiencing all this shit secondhand. I didn't read this.
Yeah, I was to say, this sounds like garbage.
I've been reading it since they broke up Peter and Mary Jane again. Why do you think I'm reading Ultimate Spider-Man?
I mean, how many times does it make it where they break those two up?
Too many.
Yes.
Too many. Anyways, that's the comic news. This is really going longer than I thought.
We're off to a great start.
I'm gonna move on to some good news, because I got something that gave me the happy equivalent of a panic attack.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't know what else you call it, but it's news that's so good that you're having a hard time breathing.
Continue.
We already knew Shadow the Hedgehog was gonna be a key part of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And now, we have it confirmed via the Hollywood Reporter that Shadow will be voiced by none other than Keanu fucking Reeves! I am so goddamn happy!
I am all for that, but part of my brain just goes, it's like, that's a hell of a pull.
I mean, he's done video game related stuff before. He's in Cyberpunk, so...
True, that's fair. I guess it's more so, although we talked about it earlier, and it does fit Shadow's aesthetic and personality. It's just, I'm picturing the John Wick-esque long drawl and talking, like deadpan drawl.
No, that's what makes it great. Imagine, he's confronting the president or something. Or
he's confronting the president of the United States.
The commander of gun. He's confronting him and going.
The commander of gun.
Yeah, the military unit in the Sonic series. They were in Sonic 2. But
okay.
Just him talking about Maria and going, "I was happy, and your government took that from me, stole that from me, killed that from me." Just imagine that whole speech that he gave to Vigo about the shit his son did and how bad he fucked up, but it's coming from a 3-foot-tall hedgehog.
With an AR-15.
No, just a regular-ass revolver, but it looks like a hand cannon because he's tiny.
Oh, fair.
I am so excited. I'm so dang happy. I know this is... I've heard people call it a Reddit cast, and you're not wrong, but also...
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Damn.
I mean, it is a thing of, what's Shadow the Hedgehog? He's a tiny hedgehog who has a gun and a motorcycle. So it is a perfect fit.
The funny thing is, he doesn't even have a gun all that often.
Oh, really?
No, that was just in his own game.
Hmm.
Most games he doesn't have a gun, and only a couple games he has vehicles.
Fair.
Yeah, no, Shadow on a Motorcycle is actually... I think it was just Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06. Those are the only ones.
Okay.
No, otherwise, because they're kind of superfluous. He's just as fast as Sonic, he can flip a bus with one hand, he can warp time and space with a Chaos Emerald. What does he fucking need a gun for? Because it looks cool. That's why. Now he just needs a cigarette and sunglasses.
I wonder how it was initially received when Shadow was first.
Given a gun? Oh, stupidest thing on the planet. Everybody hated it. Well, okay.
Okay.
Okay, you know, I don't think anybody really thought it was a good idea, except, you know, middle schoolers like me, but, at the time.
Right.
But, it pretty much boiled down to, Shadow has a gun, and this is stupid and unrealistic and terrible, and Shadow has a gun, this is stupid and unrealistic and funny.
Alright.
Oh, I'm so excited, I cannot wait. This is December, right? This comes out December? Yes?
This year?
I believe so. I have to Google this real quick. December 20th, 2024. Oh, yeah!
Alright.
Merry fucking Christmas!
Yeah, it's a Christmas week.
Where's that damn fourth Sonic movie?
Yeah. It's the Friday before Christmas, no less.
This is gonna be fun. And then, little tiny baby update. I know we were both kind of looking forward to The Crow.
Mm-hmm.
It's been moved.
Oh boy.
It has been moved a little bit. Previously set for June 7th, it's now coming out August 23rd.
Oh, it's not too terrible.
No. Also gives me more time to actually watch the original.
Yeah.
Not that I need to, but I'd like a point of reference.
Oh, yeah.
And then at the same time, Saw 11 has moved this one an entire year, from September 27th, 2024 to September 26th, 2025.
Alrighty.
These were both announced ahead of Lionsgate's presentation at CinemaCon, which was this past week.
Alrighty.
And talking about that is the rest of the news that I have for movie stuff. I did too much screaming about Shadow. Oh well.
Oh well.
Good thing I got a lozenge right here.
Hey, there you go. Came prepared.
Yeah. So, CinemaCon happened. This is one of those conventions that's not open to the public.
It's more of like an industry media convention.
Yeah, it's for distributors, exhibitors, industry professionals. Studios show up to be like, yeah, the theater industry isn't dead despite our best efforts.
Yeah, it's like, we're doing just fine. We're totally not killing theaters.
Now, let's show a lot of footage that would probably go really well with fans, but we're not going to do that. Instead, we're just going to let descriptions of how cool the footage is circulate around. And also maybe drop a couple trailers, which they did, but we'll get into that.
Fair, yeah.
Warner Brothers apparently didn't really show anything we didn't already know was coming.
Alright.
They had exclusive footage for The Watchers, Beetlejuice, Furiosa,
Okay.
M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, Trap.
That's the one that his daughter is doing, right?
No, I think that's The Watchers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, The Watchers is the one that his daughter is doing. Trap is one that he's doing. And I guess, I don't really want to get into footage descriptions, but I guess I will for Trap just because it's not a movie that I was aware of what the concept was.
Okay.
So, a guy takes his daughter to see a singer, and it turns out there's a killer known as the Butcher who kidnaps and chops up fans of this artist, and apparently the concert is a trap to capture the Butcher. But
okay.
The dad might be the killer.
Oh boy.
So, yeah. And then there was also footage from Bong Joon-ho's movie Mickey 17, the one that was supposed to come out this year and then got pushed back, and it's about a guy who gets cloned to die over and over again.
Oh. Ugh.
It's a sci-fi movie. Also, Robert Pattinson's starring in it. I was very excited.
Oh, okay, that's fair, yeah.
Still haven't seen Parasite. I'll fix that one of these days. So yeah, other than a trailer, which we'll get into, there wasn't any really thing shown at Warner Brothers that circulated around.
Right.
Aside from those footage descriptions, which again, whatever. Anyways, Lionsgate also had a presentation. They had some other things that were announced. Some of these announcements are things that trades already reported on, but it is interesting to see them get brought up. Just as a confirmation, yeah, these are being worked on, and that means we might also see them sooner rather than later.
Fingers crossed and all. Hopefully not, like, written off or something.
Yeah, I mean, until it's in theaters, you never know. But
Right.
even after it's in theaters, you never know. We're getting another Highlander movie, apparently.
Okay.
And it's directed by Chad Stahelski, the guy behind John Wick.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. I haven't seen a single Highlander. I just know the premise. And by the premise, I mean there can be only one. That's it.
Yes, and by that you know more than I do.
In fact, I probably know more about the Highlander parody in Robot Chicken than I do about, You remember that one where it was it Britney Spears? Or was it Lindsay Lohan? Either way, it was Sean Connery teaching one of them how to beat up all the other pop stars and take their power.
Right.
And then at one point during the training session, he actually looks at the camera and goes, "In case you didn't know, this is a Highlander parody." I'm looking this up now. Now I'm curious.
Fair.
It was Lindsay Lohan. It was Lindsay Lohan.
Oh, it was Lindsay Lohan. Okay.
Alright, cool. I mean, obviously it wasn't actually Lindsay Lohan, but... Obviously it wasn't actually Sean Connery, but...
Right.
They also confirmed that a Naruto live-action adaptation is coming, and it is in fact directed by Destin Daniel Cretton.
Okay.
We've been over that one, but alright. Now You See Me 3, about the Magician Thieves. Still haven't seen either of those.
Fair.
Blumhouse is working on a remake of the Blair Witch Project. That one I need to rewatch. I've watched it exactly one time and I was not in the mood.
Alright.
Or maybe I just didn't like it. Hard to say. And then, you know what, actually, I'm just gonna go through some of this other stuff first. They had exclusive footage for The Crow, for Borderlands, The Strangers Chapter 1, a movie called Never Let Go, which is directed by Alexandre Aja, who directed Crawl, the movie about an alligator attacking a Florida family during a hurricane.
Oh god, that movie. Holy shit.
Yeah!
God, I forgot that movie existed.
And then, here's the one that'll really bust your brain up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Margot Robbie and her production company Lucky Chap are working with Lionsgate on a live-action Monopoly movie.
Why? What's the point?
There's something really weird about Hollywood studios making a movie called Monopoly about...
Starring... which more than likely stars Margot Robbie.
We don't know about stars. We just know it's a production company. But... And she's producing it.
Okay.
But... I mean, presumably they're chasing that sweet Mattel Barbie money, but...
I mean, you know what? That is fair. And I do not blame them for that, in all honesty.
I feel like if you're doing Monopoly, you have to have some kind of commentary on capitalism and terrible business practices. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you don't.
They're probably like, no, we can only do the Barbie-style, like, meta-commentary once, and only once, in our lifetimes.
Probably. So this might end up being absolutely fucking nothing.
Right.
Universal. Most of what they had was just footage from things like Twisters and Despicable Me 4 and The Wild Robot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very upset. They had first looks at Wolfman and Nosferatu, and we don't get them.
Yeah, as I say, like, a lot of the things you're talking about, once again, is with, like, Borderlands and what have you, and The Crow. It's just like, why are these things not being shown to the general public right now?
Right? Free publicity.
Yeah, exactly.
But the one update we did get from Universal that wasn't exclusive footage as far as I can tell is that it's confirmed that Five Nights at Freddy's is getting a sequel. It's coming fall of next year. Can't wait to be underwhelmed again. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Paramount brought a lot of stuff.
Is that a good thing?
Well, you tell me. Among things that they announced are a new musical from South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone, which is gonna have music from Kendrick Lamar.
You motherfuckers. You motherfuckers. That's alright, so I'm already on board. Continue.
An animated Last Airbender movie.
Okay.
Which is going to feature Dave Bautista as the villain.
Oh, okay, continue.
They reiterated that a Mutant Mayhem sequel is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where things start to get weird. Indeed!
Okay, that's... Considering the 2 bits of news you just gave, that's That's a lot. Continue.
They have confirmed that a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover film is happening.
Yes!
Can't wait to watch Snake Eyes run up, try to slash Megatron with a sword and get stepped on.
No, after the teaser they gave at the end of... I forget.
Rise of the Beasts, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, alright, you know what? I am all in on that shit.
Look, I think it would have been funnier if it just hadn't gone anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I'm all in on it. It largely helped, in all honesty, in, I forget the actor's name, but...
Anthony Ramos?
Yeah, Anthony Ramos. He just flips with the card, and it's like everyone in the theater is getting excited. He just goes, G.I. Joe. It's like, what?
No, I think it would be really funny if, like, the next Transformers movie, he's the main point of view human character again, and somebody asks, weren't you recruited by some kind of, like, government thing? Oh, yeah, no, the budget ran out.
Which... Oh, that would be great.
Anyways, that's happening, apparently. No other details have been announced other than they're working on it.
You know what? Honestly, it was one of those things where I didn't think they were actually going to do it. I figured it was just one of those deals where it's like, yeah, we'll just put this in just to fuck with people, and then leave it at that.
A Star Trek Origins film.
Okay.
A biopic of the Bee Gees, directed by Ridley Scott.
Huh. Alright.
An R-rated live-action adaptation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin.
Okay, that one I did actually hear about.
Yeah.
That's a weird one, for sure.
Right?
Yeah. Because there has... Like, just the idea of R-rated TMNT in general.
You could do it. You could 100% do it. A new scary movie.
Of course.
As in... The parody scary movie.
Yeah, I know what you meant. Like, the scary movie parody movie.
How long has it been since the last one of those?
I feel like it's been at least a decade.
Huh.
Like, it's been a while.
A remake of The Running Man, directed by Edgar Wright, starring Glenn Powell.
Okay.
And this one's probably the one where I have the most complicated feelings, because I feel like this should be a bad idea, and yet I'm intrigued, because actually... anyways... It's a remake of The Naked Gun.
Okay.
And it's directed by Akiva Schaffer, who was the director of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the 2022 movie.
Alright.
And also is part of The Lonely Island. But
yes.
Here's the part where I realize, oh, they might actually be onto something. Guess who's starring in this, as presumably Lieutenant Frank Drebin?
Tom Holland.
No.
Oh god. Okay.
I'll give you two more.
Okay. It's potentially starring in it. I almost said Riff Raff, but that's definitely not it. That would be amazing. God, why am I blinking? There's so many...
You want me to just tell you?
I'm assuming it's a white guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I'm pressuring myself. It's like, why am I blinking on names? There's so many, like... fuck it, yeah, just tell me.
It's Liam Neeson!
Really?
Yeah!
Okay.
Which, to be fair, that's part of what makes me think they've actually got this on lock. I mean, Liam Neeson's been in some real shit lately, but...
Like, as far as movies or
as far as movies.
Okay, yeah.
But on the flip side, getting a pretty serious actor in this over-the-top comedy works. Because, I mean, Leslie Nielsen was Frank Drebin in Naked Gun, and his whole comedy turn started when they cast him in Airplane, and his total deadpan reaction to all the silly shit going on was part of what got that rolling.
I say, is this going to be a repeat of, like, Jason Statham being in Spy?
What?
Spy, the 2015 comedy movie, where Jason Statham, Melissa McCarthy...
Oh yeah, I never saw that.
I never saw it either, but I remember just watching the bits of where it's very clearly just Jason Statham making fun of himself and the roles he's played.
Quite possibly, quite possibly. And then, God, this is really going long. Disney.
Oh god.
No real big announcements, just exclusive footage shown for Kingdom of Planet of the Apes, Deadpool and Wolverine, Inside Out 2, Alien Romulus, Moana 2, Mufasa the Lion King, and Captain America Brave New World. There has been an image circulating around that was officially released of Anthony Mackie talking with Harrison Ford's President Ross, and apparently Harrison Ford did not grow the mustache.
Oh no.
I imagine somebody probably tried to ask him, and then Anthony Mackie just stood in the way, like, you're not asking Mr. Ford for anything.
That's a nice thought.
Also, it was confirmed that Thunderbolts with an asterisk is the title. Obviously, it's not Thunderbolts with an asterisk, it's Thunderbolts asterisk, but... And Kevin Feige said we're not talking about that until after the movie releases, because it's spoilers.
Okay, fair enough.
Now, I don't want to get too deep into this, because like I said, describing footage that hasn't actually been released is kind of fucking dumb. But, there was something in Captain America Brave New World that I think is going to factor into Thunderbolts, which is that apparently, Ross, being Harrison Ford's character, being the president, wanted to meet with Sam Wilson, so in order to get the Avengers back together and have a new Captain America leading it. So what I think is going to happen is, in this movie, part of it's going to be trying to get a government Avengers together, and then probably Sam is going to decide either, I'm going to start my own Avengers, or no Avengers are better than government Avengers. So...
Yeah, true. Especially with things like a U.S. agent running around and all that.
Which then leads me to believe that Thunderbolts is basically going to be the government's attempt to make their own Avengers team, spinning out of the failure to make that coalesce in Captain America Brave New World, but they're probably going to call it something else, and I have no proof of this isn't just my joke idea. Because I'd like to imagine Gwyneth Paltrow basically steps in and goes, if you so much as touch the Avengers name, Stark Industries will sue you in the next week.
Yeah.
So I feel like the reason Thunderbolts has an asterisk is because that team name in-universe is a working title while they try to do, like, market research and focus group testing and see what team name sounds the best, and Thunderbolts is meant to just be a placeholder.
Right.
Could still do with a better team, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go to trailer time.
Let's get to trailer time.
It's trailer time again! We've got movie previews just to watch! It's trailer time again! We did get a trailer for the Channing Tatum Scarlett Johansson comedy Fly Me to the Moon.
I'm into this.
I'm into it with an asterisk, much like Thunderbolts.
What is your asterisk?
And this isn't a fair asterisk, because it feels a lot like people going, oh, Joker's an irresponsible movie because people might be inspired to do another Aurora, Colorado thing with this movie coming out at this time. And
okay.
It's not fair, but I have a little bit of trepidation on Fly Me to the Moon being a movie about what if they made a backup fake moon landing in case the actual moon landing didn't work, because it's like, some idiots are gonna run with this.
That's true, yeah.
And I'm so sick of conspiracy theorists disputing the most basic fucking shit.
Right.
So, just to throw it out there, vaccines don't cause autism, we did land on the moon, and the Earth, much like the moon, is round.
All of which are correct statements.
Don't at me. Anyways.
I did very much enjoy the last bit of the trailer where they're trying to get the actors in this whole thing to work out, and then you just hear Scarlett Johansson go under her breath, we should have gotten Kubrick.
No, that was good. I like that.
That was very good.
I like the bit where they get the director and says, you can't tell anyone about this, I refuse. They will shoot you. What's my budget?
Yeah, as I say, and it's like, no, that is a correct statement, too.
100%. 100%. Yeah. I also like the bit with the guy auditioning to play Channing Tatum's character. And as Channing Tatum is making corrections to his backstory, the guy's adjusting it and then just saying it like, you flew over 60 missions in Korea? I flew 52 missions in Korea. I flew 52 missions in Korea. What? How was that? What the?
Yes. I would just probably yell at him like, "Get the fuck out of my face!" if that was me.
At that point, I'd probably just say, "Fine, I'll do it. Get this guy out of here." No, I like the Scarlett Johansson Channing Tatum chemistry. Mm-hmm. The premise just gives me that twing of, some people are gonna be fucking insufferable about this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
But that's not a reason not to make a movie or not to release a movie.
Yeah, no, and this looks like, just based on the trailer, of course, the first trailer, it does look like a good time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
And then apparently it releases in July.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Neat. We also got a final trailer for If.
I don't know.
My brain is running away with ideas because there has to be some kind of twist, right? There's something they're not telling us. It can't just be this saccharine and straightforward, right? There's something else here.
Mm-hmm.
And I have two different ideas, one of which is that one imaginary friend who said, we started an agency to help assign imaginary friends to new kids.
Right.
I felt like that line delivery was a little sinister, and I don't know why. So I wonder if maybe there's some kind of secret ulterior motive, but I'm probably reaching with that one. I'm just desperate for there to be something else to this movie, because otherwise the movie just looks like random, weird jokes based on the designs of these imaginary friends, which is, I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, I could see both Jonathan Krasinski and Ryan Reynolds making this movie based on that.
I can too, I have one other thought.
Okay.
And this is not an original thought. I saw it brought up after the first trailer came out, but now that the second one is out, I'm really starting to believe it. Because I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody other than the girl acknowledge Ryan Reynolds?
Ooh. You know what, now that you mention it.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, I don't think they did at all.
So, again, not my theory, I don't remember where I saw it, but I'm starting to come around on the idea that he might also be an if.
I was to say, wouldn't it be something it's like, and sweetie, who's your imaginary friend? Deadpool. That would be amazing.
That would be pretty damn good. I mean, I guess I'll see this, but... And also, he has an interesting look on his face when she goes, we have to save them, and he just agrees, yes, we do. And I wonder if that's because... It sounds like if they don't connect with kids, they disappear. So maybe he's afraid that the same thing is going to happen to him, or maybe he knows it's inevitable, and he just doesn't want to tell her. I don't know. I don't know. There's got to be something, right? Maybe it's just, it's probably just because I see too many movies, but there has to be something.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm getting some of that too, not when you mention that. It's just like, ooh, that's true. That's correct, actually.
You're hiding something from us. You can't have just ripped off Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
That's the neat part. We did.
Damn it! And then finally, we got a trailer for Joker, Folie, Deux. I hate it.
Is that how you actually pronounce that?
I don't fucking know. I don't speak French.
Okay.
You've been there. You tell me.
Yeah, I've been there twice. And,
yeah, then tell me. How do you pronounce that?
I mean, with the exception of Paris, the rest of it was lovely. Paris sucks, though.
Mm.
I don't immediately hate this. I am into it a little bit. The final shot of the lipstick being put on the mirror and Joaquin Phoenix smiling into it, I'm gonna be honest, that was pretty damn good.
That's the one thing I don't hate, but also it's weird because the camera's not pointed directly at him. It's at an angle.
Yeah.
So that means that from her perspective, he is not lined up with it.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that for?
Fair.
That's just for the camera.
The theory I have going into this movie is that this is not going to be, because of just how useless Joker was in the first one, this isn't necessarily going to be something where it's like, it's Phoenix persuading Lady Gaga to being Harley Quinn. I have a feeling that Harley Quinn is probably going to be the one leading Joker along in this one.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, with how this trailer is presented, there could be 50,000 different twists, and I just don't fucking care.
Fair.
I don't care. I didn't like the first Joker. I think it's A+ acting and a C- script, okay? I hate it. It goes on for so long, blathering on about so many different topics and has nothing actually interesting or definitive to say about any of them.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the pretension of Todd Phillips going, oh, we wanted to sneak in a real movie disguised as a comic book movie, and all you did was file the serial numbers off a bunch of Scorsese movies and slap some Batman iconography on there. I hate it. I hate this fucking movie so goddamn much. Every time I think about it, I hate it a little bit more.
Have you seen what this movie's budget is?
I'm gonna regret this, aren't I?
Yes. Do you want to make a guess?
200 mil?
Correct.
God, fuck it! Fuck!
Yeah, I don't get that.
I'm done with these guessing games!
I ain't here for no reindeer games.
Presumably it's all the production design that had to go into...
It has to be.
Setting up the musical stuff. And also Lady Gaga probably don't come cheap, which...
Yeah, it has to be. Because it's like, I'm looking at the show, it's like, there is no way this is a $200 million movie. I
just don't give a fuck about this Joker, and also... Anytime something introduces Harley Quinn, I've come to the conclusion, it's an uphill battle. Even though, ironically enough, I hate Harley Quinn, but I like most of her major adaptations. Batman the Animated Series? Great. I mean, that's her original incarnation, so, yeah. But,
yeah.
Margot Robbie? Mostly
Phenomenal.
fine.
Right.
I don't have any problems with her. I have issues with Birds of Prey, and I hate fucking Suicide Squad 2016, but she's fine in Birds of Prey and in The Suicide Squad. I like the Harley Quinn show. It's honestly, I'm behind on it now, but seasons 1 and 2 are some of my favorite DC television. And yet, I hate the character. And I still maintain that I hate the character, because the character, in comics pretty much, is just another Batman, in terms of, we will shove her into anything if we think it'll sell this comic better, even though she doesn't really necessarily contribute anything.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, even Batman is rich and has a bunch of gadgets. Harley has a bat and gymnastics. So whenever they shoehorn Comics Harley into a thing, it's literally just so they can sell more copies of the thing because people show up, and all she does is pull the Rip Van Winkle, Helsing Ultimate Abridged, lol, I so random, Rainbow Tacos, Doctor Who Homestuck bullshit.
You know, I can never get that quote right, by the way, so well done.
And it's even worse because so much of her stuff is associated with the Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad is the worst fucking place for her. Why the fuck, when assembling a covert team of metahumans to do the government's Black Ops missions, would you put Harley fucking Quinn on there? What could she possibly do to help that anybody else couldn't do 1,000 times better with 100% less liability? Oh, she's so unpredictable and crazy they'll never be able to anticipate. Yeah, that's why she's gonna fuck your shit up too, you stupid fucking moron! It also sucks all the drama out of it. Half the intrigue of Suicide Squad is that, theoretically, these are supposed to be a bunch of Z-list villains and anyone could die at any time. What do you think the odds are they're gonna kill Harley Quinn in a Suicide Squad anything? They won't! She ruins the entire fucking premise just by being there!
It's fair.
Anyways.
Back to our regularly scheduled program.
Back to Joker, the second one.
I'm into it. Cody hates it. What more is there to say?
Yeah, that's about it. Let's go to box office.
Let's do the box office.
So, the highest grossing movie this weekend was, in fact, Civil War.
Indeed.
Kind of surprised considering it first released 8 years ago.
Okay.
But I guess people do love Spider-Man, so...
Alright, whatever.
Anyways, $25.7 million domestic weekend and total. Actually, the largest opening for an A24 film ever, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no worldwide info at this time, but it did have a $50 million budget, so...
Yeah, okay.
Still got a ways to go. Anyways, the reason why, as I so very cleverly and subtly foreshadowed at the beginning of this episode, that this is a historic week, is that for once, I saw no movies this weekend, but Greg saw a movie.
Yes, and now you are stuck with me as I describe Civil War. Everyone just starts running away from the room.
I'm sorry to leave you hanging with that. I was going to go see it today before we recorded, but I got no sleep last night, and I just...
No, that is completely fair. I will do my best. I will probably not do as well as you usually do, but I will do what I can here.
Oh, I'm pretty terrible at it anyway, so take your best swing. I'm especially sad because, obviously, I had some problems with the premise, but... Mm-hmm. And I've been seeing some mixed reviews, but some of the reviews I've seen said that the premise isn't really important.
That is correct.
And also, of course, there's the thing of America fucks up geopolitical stuff for movies all the time, so there's really no point getting angry about it just because this is the time where I'm close enough to the situation that I can see the strings and go, this is a bunch of bullshit. But,
right.
I'll leave it up to you now, since you actually saw the movie.
Yeah, now, before I get too deep into this, I do kind of want to give a slight forewarning, because the topic of politics will come up in this at least a little bit. I'm not going to spend the entire movie talking about politics or anything like that, but given what the movie is and its subject matter, and especially some of the events that happen, there are parallels that are going to be extremely hard to ignore. So... Yeah,
I mean, everything's political now, don't you know? Ever since certain people decided that the statement... there are more people on the planet than just straight white guys, so they aren't the center of everything, was somehow a political statement instead of,
yes.
Let me check my notes here, a basic fact.
Yes, indeed.
But go on.
So, Civil War, not of the 2016 variety. So, this is, it pins itself as an action movie. There is definitely action in it, but I would very much say this is much more of like a dystopian drama movie, first and foremost.
Okay.
We follow the footsteps of a crew that are members of the press, led by Kristen Durst playing Lee Smith, who is an established war photographer hailing from Colorado.
Dunst.
What?
You said Kirsten Durst.
Oh. Yes, I did. Thank you. God, we're off to a great fucking start.
Sorry.
Kristen Durst, Fred Durst's long-lost sister.
It's just one of those days, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. We're off to a
where
great
you don't
start.
want to wake up.
Wake up. Wake up.
Everything is fucked. Everybody sucks.
All right.
It's a little Limp Bizkit joke. Sorry, continue.
No, you're good. I foreshadowed earlier. It's like, this is going to be great for later.
Subtly.
Yes. Kirsten Dunst plays Lee Smith, a renowned war photographer from Colorado. And joined by her is Joe, played by Wagner Moura, Lee's colleagues and a journalist on his own right. They're also joined by Sammy, played by Stephen McKinley Henderson, who works for the New York Times and was Lee Smith's mentor, and a new upstart aspiring photographer named Jesse Colin, played by Callie Spaney. It basically follows their journey from...
Oh, that's Priscilla! Neat!
Yes, actually. So the movie focuses on their journey from Pennsylvania down to Washington, D.C., following the happenings of the Second American Civil War. Currently, there's an active civil war going between the United States under the control of a very authoritative fascist president. And
Ron Swanson.
No, actually.
President Ron Swanson.
President Ron Swanson. No, not really, actually.
I mean, it is Nick Offerman.
Yeah, you know what? Fair. Nick Offerman does play the president in this movie, and the United States of America is battling a second civil war against several secessionist movements, key of which being the Western Forces, which is a coalition of Texas and California. So the photographers are following along as the war progresses, because the Western Forces are actually pretty much on the doorstep of Washington, D.C., and it follows their journey, the experiences they have, the things they see, the chaos and desperation and all that has been caused by the Second American Civil War, as well as the various reactions by people to it. First and foremost, this is an extremely depressing movie.
I bet.
This movie is a major bummer. It's very much one of those movies where there are moments of kind of lightheartedness and fun and whatnot. It quickly gets washed away. In some of those moments, though, there are a couple semi-comedic moments. There's a couple in particular that I can't really talk about without getting into spoilers. There's a lot about this movie that I can't really get into without spoiling a bunch of shit.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. It is true that the premise of the Civil War in of its own is not the main talking point of the movie. Like, the world that this movie takes place in is expanded upon in very small ways. Like, we get little hints of what the current situation is. We get hints of how this second Civil War came to be. But there's not going to be any real expansion into how the Western forces came to be, how the president took control of the country, etc. So if you're going for that, this is not the kind of movie for that. I think, in all honesty, that was probably a good thing. Because one of the interesting things with this movie, in terms of how it sets everything up, it's not expressly stated which side the president of the United States is come from.
Which is presumably also why California and Texas are together, so that way you've got the big Democrat state and the big Republican state, and therefore nobody can complain that this movie is taking one side or the other, and you don't lose a big chunk of the audience.
Yes, but also they do kind of drop a line in the movie that makes the coalition make more sense.
Okay.
Which is kind of said in the trailer, because Stephen McKinley's character does say at a certain point, once they take DC, they're just going to start fighting each other. The coalition of California and Texas does make more sense as well from a military standpoint, because California and Texas do have the highest populations in the entire country, and California in particular has the highest National Guard presence.
Okay.
In the country. California has the largest National Guard overall by personnel. So to that end, it's like, yeah, I can see that, because the hints that are dropped about how the president came to be in the position he's in are things that kind of make me go, I could see a situation where California and Texas get together and go, hey, as far as individual states go, we're kind of the biggest fish in the nation. We could work together. Like I said before, this is not a straight-up action movie, even though there are definitely a lot of action scenes in it. It's more so a dystopian drama. There's a lot of sad moments, a lot of really fucked up moments. I'm going to get a little bit more into it when I get into the spoiler section. But Jesse Plemons, he is by far and away the best part of the movie. Even though he's only there for one fucking scene.
Alright. I like Jesse Plemons. He's in some good stuff.
Yeah, he's the guy in the trailer who goes, it's like, where they're saying we're Americans. Like,
and he goes, what kind?
Yeah, no, he is phenomenal in the bit of the movie that he's in. Because it's kind of given away a little bit in the trailer again. He keeps the tension going a great bit. Honestly, all the main actors do a good job. Kirsten Dunst does a really good job of acting via facial expressions and body language.
Cool.
Because her character's thing in this movie is that she is a veteran war photographer. She's been all around the world. She's seen, like, war zone after war zone. She talks about it as well, where it's like, the whole reason I became a photojournalist was so I could send a message to people saying, hey, don't do this. It's really not great. And then she's just seeing it all play out in her backyard. So she is the character that, for all intents and purposes, is, I'm not going to say checked out, but is just, like, kind of done with the situation that's currently around her. But being that she's a member of the press and a war photographer, she has kind of become at one with, hey, I need to do this, I need to get these pictures, I need to show, like, what's going on and all that. In which Jesse Cohen, played by Callie Spaney, acts as a great foil for her, because Jesse is a complete fucking noob.
So, it sounds like Kirsten Dunst is the, God, I'm sick of doing my job, but it needs doing and I'm damn good at it.
Yeah, and Jesse is the, I was inspired by you and I want to do your job.
Sweet summer child.
Yeah, it's dropped early in the trailer, in the movie, where it's like, Jesse goes, I've been inspired by you and I want to be a war photographer. And I just sit there and go, no, you fucking don't. You do not. And boy almighty, does the movie get into that. Like I said, there's definitely a good bit of commentary on various things in this movie. Definitely a lot of allusions to current events, or really just geopolitical events that have happened within, I don't know, the last 20 years or so. There are definitely certain... and I think that's kind of the thing about this movie that makes it more interesting, because this is an extremely thought-provoking movie. A lot of the things that are portrayed and some of the actions and thought process and whatnot are basically... There are certain aspects where I'm seeing this and go like, okay, these are things that have happened in World War I, World War II, the Gulf War, the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan, etc. And it's interesting to see like some of these ideas taken and being put in the backdrop of the United States of America.
All right.
So, and with that, between that, how insanely depressing the movie is, and how it just takes every moment to just really grab your attention. And this is a movie where I really did kind of go, it's like, oh, so this is what they mean when they say you can't look away from the screen. Literally within the first 10 minutes, the movie very much accomplishes the whole thing of get your audience's attention in the first paragraph.
Okay.
In, like, one of the most insane methods I have ever seen in a movie, to the point where I'm not even going to mention it in the spoiler section, because this movie is 100% worth seeing. It is very depressing. It is very sad. It's pretty fucked up. I actually saw someone talking about it on the movie subreddit, and they said, 9 out of 10 movie, I'll probably never watch this again.
So Hereditary, or Midsummer.
Yeah. Sure.
Those are movies I will never watch again, unless I am making somebody else experience them for the first time.
I feel like Hereditary, there's a lot more to lean into in terms of, like, the ridiculousness and, like, potential for riffing and stuff like that. This is not that kind of movie. This movie takes itself a lot more seriously in that aspect. So, I would very much say it's worth watching.
I'm sorry, Hereditary... you know,
yes?
I'm not gonna... I'm just gonna say this. Hereditary had a kid get decapitated by, like, a fucking mailbox. Silly stuff.
You know what? I did kind of forget about that.
And then when the brother comes home and he just lies in bed because he can't face his parents with the news, and you just hear his mom in the background trying to get the kid and then freaking out, and then cuts to the head on the side of the road with ants crawling over it?
Yeah.
The fuck are you on about?
Okay, that's fair. I'll take the L there.
Anyways.
So yeah, that's all I really have for the non-spoiler section. It's 100% worth seeing. Or, actually, there is one other thing that I did want to mention, and this kind of goes into the whole thing of mentioning politics and whatnot. I have seen some people allude to say it's like, oh, the president in this movie is basically this universe's Donald Trump, which I very much disagree with. The way the president carries himself in this movie and the way he talks and whatnot, it really is about as far away from Donald Trump as you could get.
Okay.
I believe Nick Offerman actually went out and said, it's like, no, Donald Trump was not at all what I was going for. And I saw that before I saw the movie, which is a mistake. As far as seeing other people talk about a movie you're going to see before you actually see it. And then I watched the movie, I'm like, where the fuck are people getting these comparisons to Trump from? I feel like, if anything, what it shows is not so much how, without getting super, super deep into it, Trump's time in office influences movies, but more so how evil of a person Trump is, if things like this fictional president can make people think of him, if that makes sense.
I mean, I think the parallel is there in the form of trying to subvert the entire election process in...
Yes!
I guess, in the case of, if I understand it, in the case of Nick Offerman's character, just declaring himself in for a third term, as opposed to declaring election fraud with absolutely no basis in fact, but...
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so that's all I have for non-spoilers, so in the event, I'm just going to do the segue on this one.
Yeah, go for it.
If you don't want to get spoilered on the rest of Civil War, you should absolutely go and see it in theaters. You should probably click away in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, bye guys. I'm kidding, go ahead. I kind of want to try to see this at some point this week, but between editing Cinema Synergy and the fact that 3 goddamn movies come out next weekend where I'm already busy is...
Yeah.
Oh man, but we'll get into that. Anyways, go on.
Yeah, you, me both. So, once again, the premise of the Civil War isn't really deeply expanded on, but it is talked about. The overarching goal of the group of these press photographers is that they actually want to go to Washington, D.C., before the president is, like, captured or killed or whatever, and get, like, one last photo of him and have an interview with him. At this point, it's established that D.C. is pretty much a no-fly zone for journalists. If you are in Washington, D.C. proper and you're a journalist, there's a good chance you're going to get killed. This is a talking point within, like, the car ride that they take across New England going towards Washington, D.C., because there's a scene where all 4 of them are, like, kind of thought-processing questions to ask, and Sammy, Stephen McKinley's character, asks, semi-jokingly, he's like, all right, so Mr. President, how do you feel about people's reactions to you taking on a third term? Which is a violation of the 22nd Amendment for the uninitiated.
Yeah, in case you got anybody listening who's not from America, or who is and failed civics class.
Yeah, the 22nd Amendment is the amendment that limits the presidential term to 2 years. Like,
sorry, social studies.
Yeah, well, that's what it was when we were kids.
Yeah, it might be civics now. I think it was civics back in the day. I don't know.
I think it was civics. Well, I went to fundamental school my entire life, so it was always social studies, but I think it's civics in other parts of the country. Regardless.
Okay. Yeah, not important.
Yeah, so how do you feel about people's reactions to you forcibly taking on a second term? A violation of the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution. And he's like, okay, that's kind of soft. It's like, alright, how do you feel about people's reactions to you disbanding the FBI? Which was the thing for me that kind of went, oh, okay. Because in the event of something like that happening, if the acting president did try and take a third term, it would be on the FBI to investigate that and stop that from happening. So that's the thing of like, okay, so we're fully setting up the authoritarianism in this movie. So that's really as good as it gets when it comes to talking about the overall premise of the movie as far as its background and whatnot. It's established that there's basically 2 main factions against the Union. There's the Western forces, once again led by California and Texas, and the Florida Alliance, which never gets talked about. That's the bit that actually kind of bugs me a little bit. But,
that one surprises me the least.
Really?
Look, in the event the United States starts breaking apart, you don't see Florida just going, and I'm over here! Who's with me?
You know what? That's fair. That's fair. So, I want to talk about the first 10 minutes, but I'm not going to, because me describing what happens in the first 10 minutes of this movie does not do what happens in the first 10 minutes of this movie justice.
Right, it's a crazy thing when you're trying to do a spoiler section, but you still don't want to give it all away, because you still...
Yeah.
It's like, some of this shit just needs to be experienced, man.
Yeah, but in that 10 minutes is when Jesse and Lee, first meet with each other. Jesse basically hitchhikes a ride with them towards DC. As they're traveling, they kind of see how horrific the Civil War has gotten. They're traveling down a completely destroyed highway filled with a whole bunch of like abandoned and destroyed and bombed out vehicles, very much alluding to the highway of death in Afghanistan, where the United States bombed a convoy of military and civilian vehicles, and just all those cars and whatnot are still on that one highway in the middle of Afghanistan. We get to them going to a gas station, and the gas station is protected by 3 guys with rifles. And the discussion happens like, should we stop? We still have half a tank. It's like any opportunity to refuel we need to take. So they go to the gas station. Lee comes out to talk to the armed gunman about brokering her deal to get some gas. And she says, like, I'll give you 300 for gas. It's like, one of the guys goes, oh, 300 won't do anything here. It's like 300 Canadian. Which alludes to, with the Civil War, the dollar becoming completely fucking useless. And then at this point we get our first hint of how topsy-turvy things have gone, because Jessie goes to kind of explore, because she sees, on their way to the gas station, she saw a little hut and something inside of it. So while they're fueling up the press truck, she goes to check it out, and she finds 2 barely alive guys being hung by their arms in the middle of what was once a car wash.
Oh.
And then one of the guys comes over to talk to her about it. He's just like, what's with these guys? Like, oh, they're looters. We found them and we hung them up and all that. And then he goes just like, I know that guy. I went to high school with him. Just totally nonchalant. As you can imagine, Jessie's frozen in fear. Lee Smith comes over and goes, is there any chance I can take your picture? And has him post up with the 2 guys to take a picture for whatever publication that she's looking for.
Right.
Yeah. And Jessie, of course, has a whole thing of like, I can't believe I just stood there and didn't take a photo. Because at this point, Jessie still has her humanity. Forewarning, I'm not going to be good at the rest of this section, in all honesty.
Like I am. You've seen how much I jump around during some of these, yeah?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it like, there's so much that happens in this, and so much of it is like just kind of like observational things, because the thing about this is that even though this is more of an action movie, this is still an A24 movie, so they do the whole thing of like using like artistic shooting and scenery and set pieces to tell the story of what's going on in the movie. For instance, as they're traveling, they go underneath an overpass, and someone has spray painted on the overpass, "Go Steelers," which is honestly pretty funny.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It was just honestly pretty funny, but there is a small thing that if you realize what's there in that same scene, instantly kills the mood, while also very much expanding on just how fucked everything is. As they travel, they come across an old, like, what was former, like, I think, like, mini golf course or something like that.
Alright.
And they find a very, very dead soldier with, like, literally half of his head blown off, just laying in the middle of the ground. And there's talk back and forth on if they should, like, try to run past it or anything like that. So they slowly keep forward, start getting shot at, immediately, like, abandon their vehicle, and come across a pair of snipers.
Oh no.
Who are engaged with the sniper that was shooting them earlier. We never know who these guys are. It's just a sniper and a spotter. And that kind of goes into the next bit that happens later on, or in that same scene rather, where talking about like, hey, what's going on here? Well, there's a guy in that house over there that's trying to shoot at us, so we're stuck here. And he's stuck there. And we've been like this for a little while now. And
I don't know why I'm laughing, except it's a little absurd.
Yeah, well, honestly, that's purposeful, because they ask, like, Joel asks, who are you with? It's like, what do you mean, who are we with? Are you not taking orders for anybody? It's like, no. There's someone out in there is trying to kill us, so we're trying to kill them. Which leads to kind of a funny exchange. He's like, because Joel goes, I don't know if we have to bleep this or anything like that, but Joel goes, is like, I don't understand. And the spotter just looks back and was like, oh, my mistake. You're retarded, aren't you? Like, just super callously, like, says that to him. And then looks to the girl and says, like, hey, what's going on over here? And she just goes, they're shooting at us.
Okay.
Yeah, which is also a hint as well as far as how far down Jessie is starting to fall in this craziness as well. So that's a small tidbit of a moment. Oh, I know I skipped something that happened earlier, too. The big turning point in the movie, what I feel like is the main turning point in this movie, is later on, probably like 3/4 of the way through the film, this is where we meet Jesse Plemons' character. Because Jesse Plemons is by far and away the most believable character in all this. And that is terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, this dude is so fucking good in this movie.
He's good at most things I've seen him in.
Yeah, and it's amazing because he's only in it for this one bit. Like, he's only in it for this one sequence. But this is when we have the full switch of characters as far as how they act and all that. Because after this, they come to a Western Forces base, at which point it's established, hey, the government forces have more or less left the city, so it's pretty much just the president and what he has left of the Secret Service left in DC. Character development happens. There's a particular event that also kind of jumpstarts this whole thing that, once again, I don't want to give away. Sorry if for anyone who's listening to this, who's getting annoyed by me constantly saying I don't want to give this away. There is so much in this movie that really does have to be seen. I don't want to do the whole thing of like giving everything away, even though I just gave away a couple key moments. But there's a lot of things that are like smaller in scope, but have bigger impacts on the story as a whole, if that makes sense.
Okay.
They go through and they're like, okay, well, you know what? We've already made it all this way. We're just going to go to DC anyway. So they hook up with the Western forces and actually enter Washington, DC proper, where there is just a giant fight between the Western forces and what's left of the defenders of Washington, DC, which also really highlights one of the really cool things of this movie is that because these are people whose whole thing is photography, a lot of the movie has like stills of what looks like pictures taken with their respective camera.
Yeah.
And that's actually, oh god, I can't believe I didn't talk about this during the non-spoiler section. One of the big highlights of this movie is the sound design, because there's constant reminders of how these guys are all photographers. So their whole thing is taking as many pictures as they can of the Civil War and all that. So there are moments where there's quiet or it's a lot more calm and whatever, but you still hear the cameras clicking in the background and all that. And believe it or not, it does not kill the tension at all. If anything, it actually adds to the tension in quite a few scenes too. Because you see Jesse's pictures of the battle for Washington, D.C. as it's unfolding and all that. And it really is something that would be seen in, like, the New York Times or something like that. Genuinely, there are many times where it's just like, these are some damn good pictures. And then we finally get to the White House, where we find out that the president is holed up in the White House, and the Western forces make their final approach to the White House to capture or kill the President of the United States. Which is a hell of a sentence.
President Offerman, specifically.
Yes. I'm not going to give...
Wait, would that make it President Offerman?
Yeah. Maybe. Well, the president's never actually named. A name is never given to the president proper.
Yeah.
I'm not going to really give away what happens during this whole bit, other than to say, because again, I really want people to see this movie, the ending of the movie is badass, terrifying, and incredibly thought-provoking. And the way that it's framed, because it's also kind of framed in like what looks to be like the same thing as like one of Jesse's pictures, but it's not a picture, it's just the scene as it's happening in slow motion, and it's just kind of the thing that just whips it all together. And with that as well, there's not a post-credit scene in this movie, but there are, instead of having like a post-credit scene, the initial set of credits, like how they give away like the main players in the movie and all that.
Right.
It just turns into like a very slow development of one of the pictures that Jessie took with her film camera.
Oh.
And the scene that it depicts is really the thing that just kind of just gives the movie the nice little bow tie that it has at the end, while also still making you kind of go, okay, so what happens next? And that's the movie.
All right.
Yeah, it's not a bad ending. It's not a bad ending. I don't want to make it seem like a bad ending.
Yeah,
it's honestly a damn good ending. But it's a scary, thought-provoking, but also kind of badass ending as well. If you stuck around for all of this and all of my craziness in God bless your soul. Normally this isn't how it happens. So
no, thank you for taking this one and for being willing to talk about it, since I didn't get a chance to see it because I've been sleeping.
Yeah, no, this was one... Honestly, I was kind of a thing of like, man, I hope Cody does actually see this movie, because, boy, I want to talk about this with him. So, that's
Can you imagine how long this would have run if I had?
That would be part of the fun.
Yeah, probably. But then I need to edit it.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, for my own sake, it's best I didn't see this one.
Yeah, that's fair. So, yeah, that's Civil War.
So next week, we got a real dilemma in that we're both kind of busy, and there's 3 movies out that we want to see.
Yes, one of which has just, like, the most horrific showtimes I've ever seen in my life.
None of them are looking particularly good, but the Spy Family movie is...
Yeah. Because it's like, each showing only has 2 showtimes, and the showtimes are basically, like, for both dub and sub, and it's effectively, I either can't see it, because it's in the middle of my shift, or I won't see it because the one that has a reasonable showtime is the Japanese sub version, and while I don't have anything against subs, the voice acting in Spy Family is genuinely very good.
Yeah, it is.
For the English dub. But on the flip side, the English dub is at a time that I'm just like, no, that's way too goddamn late in the night.
Definitely.
That's not happening.
But then there's also Abigail and the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, so...
Yeah, like,
this is going to be fun to juggle.
Yeah, of all of those, I am absolutely going to go see Ungentlemanly Warfare. Like, 100%.
And I'm definitely seeing Abigail, so...
So we might have a double feature on our hands. Or a triple feature, depending on how insane someone feels.
Yeah, it's going to be a double feature anyway, at least. It's just a question of, did I see both movies, or am I talking about one and you're talking about one?
Yeah.
Or are we talking about 2?
Yeah, or, I don't know, end up being that between the 2 of us, we actually managed to see all 3 movies.
I don't think that's happening.
I don't think that's happening, because it's like, if there were more reasonable showtimes, it would be Ungentlemanly Warfare, Spy Family, Abigail, in that order.
Yeah, mine is Abigail, Ministry, Spy Family.
Mm-hmm.
So this ought to be a fun shakeout. But regardless of what we see, thanks so much for listening, everybody. Make sure to like the video if you haven't already, share it around, all that good stuff. I got links in the description. I really need to remember to upload stuff to TikTok more often.
You have fun with that.
I won't. But, anyways, this has been Under the Bridge with Cody, aka the Scarlet Troll.
And with Greg, aka Greg.
And we'll catch you guys next week.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye!